Welcome to Richmond Kickers Weekly. My name is Daryl Grove, and I'm joined by a man who didn't see any goals in FC Tucson 0, Richmond Kickers 0. His name is Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello, I didn't, but your introduction was almost as electrifying as some of the performances on Saturday evening.
Yeah, it was not the greatest game of soccer, no, unfortunately. It wasn't an advert for the sport.
It was not. I mean, unless you're trying to prove to people that red cards do happen. Yeah. There were 3.
So, yeah, in terms of incidents to discuss, I guess we should discuss the red cards, and then maybe we should talk about what we want to see from the Kickers in the final 3 games of the season. Because there's 1 away game left, then 2 games at home.
And as you pointed out to me just before we started recording, they do now have the E next to their name in the standings, correct?
E stands for eliminated from...
Extra good.
From playoff. It does not stand for extra good. No. Right. So, yeah, last week we said it's mathematically possible for the Kickers to make the playoffs, but very unlikely. It's now official. Tucson, Kickers, Toronto 2 and Orlando City B all have the lowercase e next to their name.
All right, so now...
I prefer it. I prefer knowing that it's not possible, because there's always like that weird little glimmer of hope was taunting me.
Exactly, yes. And now we can categorically say this season did not go as expected.
Yeah, but we expected to make the playoffs.
We did. At a minimum, I would say. So I think we are going to do some end-of-season conversations as we get closer to the end of the season. We're going to have our friends from River City 93 on.
Crossover! Yeah. It's going to be a crossover extravaganza.
A crossover extravaganza. But before we do that, we should talk about the 0-0 draw at Tucson this past weekend.
All right, so let's talk about those red cards.
Sure.
So, the 84th minute, Connor Shinosky was sent off.
Yep.
87th minute, Wahaba Kwai sent off.
Yes.
That's 2 of our centre-backs. Maybe we'll talk later about how that impacts the the game against Chattanooga on Saturday night. I guess we just go no centre-backs?
Yeah, why not? Just go all attackers.
Ivan Magales versus the world.
And 2 goalkeepers. What could go wrong? Yes.
Shinosky's red card.
Shinosky's red card is sort of like, it's not, I wouldn't say it's his fault necessarily, but it is sort of what happens when you play Connor Shinosky as your deepest center back and you're looking to him to make a big defensive play using his pace. Okay. And in this case, it's essentially, I think it's a ball from Okwai played into Boateng. Yeah. There's a turnover there. But now because Tucson, I think, are kind of stepping forward trying to get a result because they themselves at this point are down a man. Yep. So it seems like maybe this is an opportunity. We've kind of caught the Kickers on a break. Yeah. And it's 3 attackers kind of stream forward en masse. It doesn't really matter, though, because the forward who has the ball, whose name I've forgotten, thank you.
Yeah. Who has a burst of pace.
He does.
He bursts between, Okwai and Troya.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a diffusion of responsibility there, like no one quite knew
I'm going to say
which one was going to tackle him, so he just burst between the 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm going to say
like they were open doors.
Yeah, I think it's like 40% that. I think that's a good point, but I think it's also...
Like Star Trek doors.
Yes. Except they were like jammed halfway through, and then you could just get right through them.
Star Trek doors after an attack on the Enterprise.
Yes, a very, very shaky attack on the Enterprise that never seems to cause that much damage until it does. Anyway, I also think it's the case that because it comes from a turnover, the Kickers have the 3 center backs. When they do when they're in possession, the 3 center backs or the 2 wide ones spread wide. And so I think if you're going to turn the ball over there's a big gap to be exploited. And so then I think if you've got kind of defenders trying to make transitional, like breaking up a counterattack play, then it's kind of always going to be difficult, especially if that player does have that burst of pace, which he does. And then it's basically Shinosky trying to slide across to make that last-ditch tackle, goes for the ball. Difficult to see from the replay if he gets any of the ball, but he definitely gets the man, and it's outside of the box, so it's a red card.
And it's denial of a goal-scoring opportunity because had he gone past Shinosky, he's in on Akira Fitzgerald, right?
Yes. Yeah. The commentator was making the argument that maybe he wasn't the last man, but that doesn't really matter here because even if there's somebody like equal to them, they're still 5 yards or 10 yards away.
Yeah, they're not getting to Howell before he shoots at Fitzgerald, right?
They're not. Yeah. It is a weird thing that if that foul occurs 2 yards further forward, then it's in the box, and then it's a yellow card and a penalty as opposed to a red card, but them's the rules. So Connor Shinosky sent off.
Off Shinosky goes.
For the second time this season, I think. I might be wrong on that one. But
I'm not willing to back you on that because I don't know.
That's fair. In fact, I am now very sure. He definitely was sent off way earlier in the season. But he wasn't the only one sent off in this game for the Kickers.
He did just quickly flash his abs.
He did.
On the way out. I've got to say, the man's in good shape.
Yeah, he wants everyone to know.
Very toned.
Even if he's getting red cards, he's still quite toned. Yes.
Toner Shinosky. That's what I call
him. He's not the only one. Then we get Okwai with his second yellow, also sent off.
Yeah.
A little confusion here. Our best guess is that there was some dispute about a throw-in. I think Okwai thought it should have been a Kickers throw. The referee awards it to FC Tucson, so we're assuming then that there's some dissent from McQuay.
Yeah, he must have argued for the throw-in in a way that the referee didn't like.
Yeah, I'm going to assume some expletives were in there, so when the camera kind of pans back over, the yellow card is already being brought out and issued. Second yellow, red card.
Red card. So then the Kickers have no centre-backs.
Nope.
It finishes 0-0.
Finishes 9v10.
Finishes 9v10. Yeah, Kickers had the one-man advantage for, what?
10 minutes thereabouts?
9 minutes? Yeah. So we do have the game against Chattanooga away Saturday night. Kickers have been playing a back three of Shinosky, Akwai, Magales, and not really having much of a backup, right? Because Bubakar Keita went back to Columbus after the U20 World Cup with an injury. We can't play a back three against Chattanooga, can we?
I mean, they could. It would be very risky.
There's no other centre-backs on the roster.
No, so it would require you playing something like maybe Magales with like Troyer and Maxi Rodriguez as your two centre-backs potentially. The Kickers did sign...
Troyer I could see playing in the back. Yeah. Maxi Rodriguez, I'm not so confident.
My guess would be that it is going to be Troyer and Magales as your two centre-backs in a back four. The Kickers...
we'll have to switch to a back four forced by the lack of centre-backs.
Yeah, I would guess so. They did sign Zach Perez earlier in September.
Yes.
But we don't necessarily know what position he exactly plays, but his college profile had him listed as back, which is not very helpful, but they also listed his height as 5'8" and his weight as 150.
Yeah.
That to me says fullback.
And the quote from David Bulow, head coach David Bulow, when they signed Zach Perez was, he'll give us cover at left back.
Okay.
So I'm going to assume maybe we could, at a push, play him left centre-back, and then you got a back three of Magales, Troyer, and Perez.
It's possible.
But more likely we go with two centre-backs.
That seems more likely, yes. Yeah, and then probably like a 4-2-3-1. You have Maxi Rodriguez and somebody else maybe sitting. Maybe Josh Hughes gets to go back central, which is, I think, what he prefers.
Yeah, he probably hasn't been loving playing left wing back.
I'm guessing not, no. No, brought in to be a central midfielder and then trying to transition into playing left wing back.
Yeah.
As a veteran, is how I'll put that, is probably not what he was signed up for.
Right. Okay, so should we talk about what we want to see away to Chattanooga and then at home to Toronto FC 2 and Orlando CTB?
Yeah.
Final 3 games. We're not making the playoffs. Here's my pitch. Hashtag play the kids.
Okay.
Or at least play some of the players who haven't seen much game time this year. Guys like Nick Retzlaff or Justin Grove or Luke Pavone. Just because I think we've got to think about who re-signs next year. And these are guys that haven't seen many minutes at all for the Kickers. So why not give them a good little run out? Because, here's my take, these are guys that would sign for not as much money as some other guys. So it's worth giving a few people a chance to see, could we make you part of the roster for not too much money? And please impress us in these next 3 games.
It's tough. I don't disagree, but I also find it hard to like really emphatically agree. And to be honest about it, it's because it's difficult to be really emphatic about a lot of things with the Richmond Kickers right now, because we're not sure if Bulow will be back next season. We're not sure if they're going to try to change things if he is back. We're not sure which of these players will come back or who will want to come back. And so it's like, I take your point, and I think with another team, if we're talking about maybe like even a Major League Soccer team, then it's sort of like we know there's going to be kind of some of the players are consistent. You've got long-term contracts, so we can sort of swap people in and out and see what maybe works. And here, it's a little harder for me to embrace that idea just because, like, we could play some kids, but we don't know if those kids will even be back next season. That makes it a little bit harder for me to get excited.
Okay, here's another way of phrasing it. So we do know that some of the sort of better rewarded players are the more experienced players. Jackson, striker, and Chin, the striker. As I understand it, they're paid a decent amount. They haven't really produced the goods in terms of tons and tons of goals this season, right? I wouldn't mind seeing, say, Boateng get a start, like a consistent run of 3 starts in the final 3 games. Just basically a younger striker who maybe could be with the Kickers in the future.
And I think the other adjective I would throw in there, I'm at least hoping is the case, is like hungry. Like a striker who wants to come in and show like has that chip on their shoulder of, if you'd played me all season, maybe we wouldn't be in this position, and I'm going to prove it to you now. So I do like that idea. I like the idea of seeing players who have fight, not the fight that's going to end in more red cards and yellow cards, but just the idea of people who are still going to be as hungry for a result and to score goals and to have a good performance as the people who are going to continue to watch these games. The Red Army fans are going to have a viewing party. There are people going to turn up to watch this team perform on the road.
Yeah, people will turn, even though it's been a bad season, there'll still be a decent crowd for the final 2 games because people in Richmond just turn up to watch soccer. Right?
And I think if you reward them with some level of excitement, some reason to be excited both about that game, but maybe about the future long term, then I think you're like that is a positive thing, certainly in what has been a fairly negative season.
And even like if you want to go really extreme, play the kids like Key White, and is it Sam Moore, who they got through the Kickers through the academy. Richmond United through the academy. Like, maybe just get those guys out there.
Did you research this? How did you pull those names up?
I've been watching the Kickers all year.
Do you have the roster in front of you?
I actually, look, I'll share my computer with you. Look. It's one of those tabs.
Show me the tabs.
I haven't looked at it in the last 30 minutes, but I'm not looking at it right now.
I saw some frantic clicking before you showed me your screen. I did not.
But also, so this is a very selfish thing. Just for my personal, like...
You want them to play you?
But yeah, get Grove out there.
You are a centre back. There we go.
Just for my personal sort of interest, I would like to just see something fresh in the final few games. Honestly, instead of seeing a thing that we've seen a lot this season that hasn't really worked, just something different faces, maybe even a different style. What if we went out and pressed for the final 3 games? What if we became a pressing team and just hunted the ball down for the final 3 games? Take that high energy into the close of the season.
I'm really not trying to be Debbie Downer here. It just seems to be happening organically, but it is also the case that you can't just like turn on a switch and it's like, okay, now everyone knows how to press. Let's all go do it.
Yeah, I can't imagine it would be super coordinated because we haven't been working on it. But I mean, again, why not, right? We're not getting relegated.
Here's the thing, though, is like when you haven't been in office lately, Daryl, what I have been doing is really advancing my cloning technology. And I've been working on just 11 Joe Gallardos. We put 11 Gallardos out there.
That could work.
We see what happens. Yeah.
I mean, we might have some trouble in goal.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like he could probably pull it off.
Yeah.
If there's one player on the team who I would play in every position, it's probably Gallardo.
Is it a 1-2 if you do it with yourself?
I think so.
Yeah.
You get all the credits and all the statistics.
11 Joey G's.
It's a word hard to say when you say it fast.
Do that. Anything that you would like to see in these final 3 games or in 2020? We could also talk 2020.
I think...
What's your 2020 vision?
Hopefully better than this. I would say like it's a strange one, but off the field, like some things that like reward the fans. Like I know there's the final game of the season is like Fan Appreciation Day or whatever.
It's like an extended happy hour.
Like
basically.
I would like it to be some different things than like food trucks, the beer truck, the wine truck. Like I guess I would like to see a thing that like sends people away from that last game in a disappointing season with reason to be like, but like it's fun going to the games. I enjoy the experience. I really don't know what that could be. If it's like a free kickers frisbee or something, I hope it's not that. But like just anything that sort of makes that match day experience a little bit more exciting, because I think with how
the kids, that could do it.
That could do it, yeah. But
I guess my tastes differ to everybody else's.
A little bit. I doubt there's like a 4-year-old out there who's like, yes, play those kids. Play me. Let's make it happen.
4-year-olds like free pizza.
Yes. It's just like it can be at times. The Kickers games can be really, really fun when there's a good game and when there's a good crowd and it's a nice night. We're getting into actual fall. We've had fake fall in Richmond. Now we're having actual fall. Like it would be nice to have a like really good atmosphere. The crowd is up for it sort of game, and I think that requires some changes on the field. Maybe the kids are pressing, that's one thing, but maybe I really don't know what it meant. Snow cone machines everywhere. Give everybody snow cones. Why not? Something. Just to get sort of the crowd feeling a bit more positive about where things are and where things are going.
Okay. So we need some ideas.
Yeah.
We need some ideas.
We do.
Let's talk 2020 briefly. USL League One is going to expand. Right, as I understand it, none of this is official, but I know that there are going to be 3 more teams in the West. It's rumoured that Portland Timbers 2, LA Galaxy 2 will drop down from the Championship to League One. There'll be maybe 1 new team that's backed by AS Roma in the West, and also a New England Revolution MLS 2 type team will join the Eastern Conference. That's 4 more teams, so a 14-team league.
But similar to how the Revolution plays outside of Boston, I hear the New England Revolution League One team will play in Cleveland. It's a weird thing they're going to go with.
So what do we think of the Kickers playing in a 14-team division? Does it give us like more teams that we could beat or more teams we could lose to?
Yes. What I would say is like it makes me excited because we had those weird runs where we played Lansing like 3 games in the first 5 games and then we haven't played them since. And it's weird to have a team in the division that we played so many times in the beginning that I've only thought about Lansing Ignite because of Capital Combustion Podcast. We now follow them on Twitter and interact with them occasionally. Like that's really it. And so more teams, if you can get it up to a number where you're basically playing everybody home and away once, then it's sort of, you can spread that out. You can have 1 in the beginning of the season, 1 at the end, and you sort of keep that familiarity.
It's just a more traditional schedule. Right? Yeah. Instead of like loads and loads of games against the same old teams.
Exactly.
Like home and away against everybody in the division.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to play 28 games in a 10-team league in 2019. So in 2020, in a 14-team league, that would be, if it was just home and away, 26 games. That could work.
That could work, yeah. And then maybe you got a weekend off here and there, and then you can kind of stretch it out a little bit. You can still make it 28 weeks if you want to kind of keep it relatively the same.
Play some friendlies against VCU.
That would work fine, too.
Yeah. All right, anything else to add on the Kickers as we head into this closing stretch, final 3 games?
I think I've said what I want to say.
All right, so this Saturday, it's away to Chattanooga. And the following 2 Saturdays, home against Toronto FC 2, home against Orlando City B. And
You're going down, Purple.
We'll be looking for rays of hope shining through in the final 3 games of this season. All right, so it's goodbye from me, it's goodbye from Taylor, but say hello once again to the Red Army.